All right, everybody. So, how are you all doing today? Hope that everything is at least mostly well and good. I, for one, am undergoing a crazy case of some cabin fever up in this place. But not really, actually. It's kind of weird. So, for anybody who doesn't know my particular situation, I do live in the U.S. and in my state we are under quarantine. So basically, we're told you can't go outside. You can't. Well, we're allowed to go outside to go shopping, but basically, like all of the retail stores, all of the workplaces are completely shut down. Everybody is told unless you really have to leave, don't leave. But I'm one of the lucky ones in that my job can very easily be done from home. So I still have to work the same as I always have. And yeah, I mean, it's not really that different for me. I mean, Monday through Friday, I'm just sitting at home at this desk instead of sitting at work at my work desk. That's pretty much the only difference. I mean, I also don't get to go to like the gym and a few other places that I'd like to, which is weird because I hate going to the gym, but I say, I'd like to go to the gym. So it's kind of weird, but either way, I'm excited to stream nonetheless. I've had a reasonably good week as far as just stuff going on, so that's pretty fun. My work is going at least reasonably well. I'm a little bit nervous because we've got some really important deadlines coming up, and I honestly don't know if we'll be able to make it with all of the craziness that's going on. So I'm hoping we'll be able to, but I'm really, really nervous about it. We'll just have to sort of wait and see. But, and look, it's Rev! And also Tiny Human. How was the store, Rev? Were you able to find toilet paper? Because this is apparently the thing that is so desperately needed. But yeah, it's kind of weird because I still work like my regular schedule and everything. Actually, I work even more because I'm able to get to work earlier since I just need to go downstairs, essentially. And then it's like, oh look, I'm at work. Yay! So in a way it kind of sucks because I know a lot of people are kind of looking forward to at least some aspects because it's like, oh great, now I can, work and draw and do all this kind of stuff. Whereas for me, I'm like, I can't do any of that because I still have to work, And on top of that, as far as my work is concerned, one thing that I mentioned on my Discord at least, that I'm really excited about is I got a bunch of stuff together for my upcoming D&D campaign. So for anybody interested, I'm actually going to start posting links for my D&D stuff. Because I would love to get that started in, I don't know exactly when, but in the next couple of weeks or so. So I'm going to start making maps and doing all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I kind of debated doing live streaming me making materials and stuff for it. I don't think I'm going to actually end up doing that, but it might be kind of fun. So we'll see. Either way. It's really tense at the store? Okay. I'm mostly curious because I've got to go shopping fairly soon after I'm done streaming here because we need stuff.
That looks like a problem.
So we'll see how it goes. Ow. Bugger! Wait, don't worry, we got this. Yeah, and that's the thing that I noticed last week, Rev, is that there's a lot of places that are putting limits on pretty much everything. Like you're not allowed to buy more than one, typically at least from what I've seen. You can't buy more than one of virtually all the things at this point. Which is like, okay. But at the same time, I mean, I guess I don't know, because I know some of the supply lines are being cut off. South America is only just now starting to get some nastiness from this virus. So, honestly, it's most likely to get worse before it gets better. So, it's a little bit worrisome. I really have to work on my parry timing here. These guys. Is there a way that I can undo my little slow thing here? Big pot of soup? Oh, that sounds good. That's a nice thing to do, like soups and stews and all of that sort of thing. Like, it's perfect for this type of situation. I was actually debating about making like refried beans. Just doing like a huge batch of beans. I've done them before for like my regular lunches. Obviously, this is a very different situation, but still. Yeah, I'm worried about how long it's going to take to get back to essentially some semblance of normalcy. We'll see. Oh shoot, that guy's got like a bazooka. Oh man. The kill shots in this game are awesome. Okay. Well, that wasn't good. I was trying to slow time like right at the right time, but it didn't work. I mean, I hope that it doesn't go all the way through October. I can see that happening, but honestly, I kind of doubt it. I really don't think it'll be that bad. But of course, we never know. The fact is that we've got dumb people who are doing dumb stuff, and that is always a possibility. The thing that I really worry about is things like my parents. You know, like I'm really scared for them because they still have to go out and go shopping and do all this kind of stuff. And they are in a vulnerable population. Not only are they relatively older, but they're also not in the best of health. So it's potentially really dangerous. And it scares me. There we go. One issue about playing games like this only an hour at a time is I keep forgetting all of the different stuff that I'm able to do. And how to do it, essentially. Yes, that is very true. A lot of places are doing senior hours and, you know, otherwise not really disabled, but like assistive hours or whatever. So it's very helpful. Absolutely. I don't know if my parents specifically are taking advantage of that. I hope that they are. So I'm not 100% sure the best way to take this guy out. I'm guessing I can just do this. So for anybody curious, this game is a little bit reminiscent of Dark Souls. I mean, that said, what isn't nowadays? The thing is that it's more, I guess, manageable, for lack of a better term. It's not as bad as Dark Souls in terms of the difficulty that it imposes upon you. I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to make that. That's why I was a little bit nervous there. Hooray! Yeah, I know. Most places are doing the senior hours, which is great, I think. Oh, shoot. Oh, bugger. But I mean, it's so weird because I know a lot of places are still simply not able to keep stuff in stock. You know, they're stocking at least once, sometimes twice a day. But that doesn't mean it really helps with the ongoing issues. So it's just really unfortunate. Now, incidentally, if anybody's curious, so the idea here is that you are playing as not a Master Jedi, but as somebody who was trained as a Jedi to an extent. I don't know if they mentioned whether or not the guy finished his training, but essentially this is in between the Revenge of the Sith and what's it called? Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. So it's right during that small time point there. And effectively the idea is that you are found out as being a person who is force sensitive and trained, and so now you have to go about trying to rebuild the Jedi Order is kind of the shtick. So it's a really interesting interesting premise. And it's a little bit similar to Jedi Outcast. Not quite the same, but it's close enough that it's sort of reminiscent of the themes, essentially. You're a Padawan. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Sure, we can take some minor spoilers. I'll be glad to have that. I am curious of what's going on here. Just trying to explore a little bit here. Oh, okay. So this is where I originally was. I remember going and exploring this way initially, and I couldn't find anything. Okay, I was mostly trained. I kind of figured that because you do have a decent skill set for a straight-up Padawan. Hey, it's Eag. Hey, Eag. How are you holding up in the ongoing ridiculousness that is our world today? Anything fun and or exciting going on? Regardless, I hope that everybody is safe and happy and well and whatnot. I'm just sort of exploring around to see if I can find anything. Oh, okay, that's a... Never mind. I can't block those. I think at some point I'm able to reflect those back, just not yet. So we'll see. Or like maybe as part of my Force training I learn how to do it. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Oh, you were furloughed. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Eag. That is awful. I was saying, I don't know if you saw Eag, but I was saying earlier that I am both lucky and unlucky in the sense that my job can be exclusively done remotely, and in fact most members of the team that I'm working with are all remote. So it's it kind of sucks because I know a lot of people are like, you know, this is great, now I'll be able to, you know, stay home and I can hang out and do stuff, and work on things I've been neglecting, blah, 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 blah. Whereas I'm like, I'm just working as normal. The problem is I know a lot of people who are either furloughed or otherwise not able to work aren't getting paid. And obviously that is some massive, massive suckage. So, yeah, that is not fun. Not fun at all. I will do my skill tree. Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you liked the video I did. So yeah, this for anybody unaware or who didn't see, I did my my board game video this week was board games about viruses, because obviously. But one thing that I really tried to do was talk a little bit from a scientific standpoint and sort of reinforce what agencies are saying about maintaining safety and that kind of stuff. I know that it's not possible for me to eliminate hysteria that people feel, but I hope that some people at least are helped by it. So we'll see. Oh, yeah, and that's a whole other issue, Mathewin, as well, is the whole thing of what do we do with the kids? Because all the school districts that I'm aware of, at least, are completely shut down, at least for the foreseeable future. Like, essentially, at least until the middle of April, if not farther. So it's pretty rough. And that means that not only parents are having to become teachers overnight, but the teachers are essentially having to deal with, now they have to do online teaching when it's not something that typically, at least, they've ever done, especially in elementary schools. In colleges, it's totally fine because the vast majority of colleges have the infrastructure already set up for online teaching and online learning. But elementary, middle, high schools, no, not a chance. So it's really, really difficult. But yeah, it's rough. So you still got furloughed even though you worked from home, EAG? That's really weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, obviously I don't know what you do, but like it just seems strange. Like I said, I am lucky in that the very nature of my job easily enables working from home, so it's not a huge issue. But at the same time, it's odd. Be surprised if the rest of the year wasn't canceled. Yeah. So where I live, they've canceled all of like the standardized testing and stuff like that. Not to mention, like, I do a lot of work with folks prepping for like the ACT, SAT, GRE, MCAT, LSAT, blah 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 blah, and all of those have been postponed, if not outright canceled, for the next few things. So it kind of sucks. Oh, bummer. Interesting. I like that it's called Project Augur. That's funny. Augur is a tool used to dig holes, if anybody is unaware. So it's really, really dangerous, like I said, just straight up skipping the last portion of these years, because a lot of the kids are going to end up being behind. You know, we can sit here and tout and say, you know, oh yeah, you know, we're sitting here and we've got this, that, and the other, and we're so awesome with our focus on online learning, and we're able to do this, that, and the other. But at the same time, it's still difficult, and it's frustrating because, what if parents don't have the capability of having their kids do online learning? Those kids are going to fall behind regardless, even if they want to learn. And then, of course, you're also going to have the kids who are just like, oh, yay, free from school, I don't have to do anything. And they're going to fall behind because they're just not doing the work. Not to mention, kids are supposed to teach themselves new material. I mean, most of the parents, at best, haven't done this type of work in decades. Some of them are even worse off. So, it's like, what are you supposed to do? I'm in a unique position because I am able and learned enough to teach this stuff when a lot of people aren't. So I'm able to help not only in our house, but also like around the neighborhood as well. So it's a really, really difficult situation all around, unfortunately. Am I planning to do board game reviews? That is a good question, Iag. And the answer is I really want to. There are several that I want to talk about. I did a Patreon thing quite a while ago, asking what reviews people want to see. But the problem is that those videos are just brutal for me to do, and I haven't had access to my table lately. Honestly, it's been used in the house for other things, so I simply have not been able to do it, even though I wanted to. That said, now we've got it a little bit more cleaned up and everything, so I might be able to. One that I really, really want to do is Vast, Crystal Caverns. It's not exactly new, but it is something that I think people would still enjoy seeing. So I guess the answer is yes, I want to. Uncertain if I actually will, though. So, yeah.
Now, the Empire's pinpoint neutral notion. We need to move back.
Thanks.
She's sharing her computer with her kids. Yeah, it's, I mean, that seems to be a pretty common thread, Mathewin, where, again, I mean, you're in a rather unusual position where you've got people who are just like, oh yeah, I have to share my computer, but if the district is offering computers for the students to use, I mean, not to be callous about it, but you really don't have an excuse at that point, honestly. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's... I'm running into the same issues where I'm having to balance teaching as well as my own work because, I want to make sure that stuff is well understood and all this kind of thing. But at the same time, like, for my work specifically, we're really starting to stare down some serious deadlines, and we have to get them done because, like, we really got to get some of my stuff done because we're talking about like some major grant money that we really need to have, and like we've got deadlines coming up, and if people aren't paying attention to our feeds or my emails or whatever it is, then I'm like, come on guys, we got to get this stuff done because it really is necessary. So I don't know, we'll see. Best friend is a senior, and yeah, that really sucks. They're having to miss the graduation and things. I know some places are doing graduation ceremonies like in Minecraft and stuff. It's kind of cute, but I mean, it's just not the same, I mean, how many times do you graduate in your life? I mean, Okay, so call me a callous douchebag, but I don't count elementary school as a graduation, okay? At least here in the U.S., I count high school, which is the equivalent of 12th year. I count, college, and then any graduate completion. I know some people count elementary school graduation, but I don't. So, yeah. What is this? Yeah, and you make an excellent point there, Rev. It's not something that a lot of people consider, which is that, a lot of us have the luxury of being able to sit at home and not have to physically be present at work. But, I mean, we think about some of this stuff where, we've got... we have to rely on people who work as people stocking grocery stores and people who work at restaurants. Even though most of the restaurants are closed for sit-down service, they still have... a lot of places are still doing like carry-out delivery type of things. People still have to work and make that food. And it's really unfortunate that so few people take that into consideration and instead essentially say like, oh, well, I'm so mad because we're out of toilet paper. And it's like, it could be a lot worse because you could be out of, straight up food due to not having stockers. And that would be much, much worse in this situation. So it's really frustrating to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really brutal. Yeah, it's a...
interesting. On the right track.
The whole thing is just a really, really terrible situation. Tiny, you had a graduation in kindergarten. See, that's what I'm talking about. I don't count that as graduation. I'm sorry. Again, call me callous and mean and cruel, but kindergarten graduation is not a real graduation. I might give you middle school, but even that, no. Like, no. Yeah, it's particularly worrisome for the high risk people. I'm in a similar situation, Mason. Like I said, my parents are pretty high risk, and I myself I'm not high risk, but I'm not low risk because I do have a history of asthma. So it is something that I am weary of. And I'm a little bit nervous about potentially having an issue with, but thankfully as of right now, I'm not, doing too much. But I don't know. I'm scared. I really am. I am genuinely scared. I'm not being mean to Tiny. I'm just telling it like it is. It's good that you're well treated and under control, Rev. That's really nice. Thankfully for me, I'm not. I am not in a high risk group in that I'm no longer at issuance of being a poor immunity. I was when I was younger, because I had a lot of other medical issues that thankfully have since mostly abated, but I'm still tracking. So like I genuinely get scared when I have to go out and go shopping, but the problem is I'm the one in this particular home who does the shopping. And I've also taken a large portion of the role as a teacher for the youngin'. Like I said, for not only the kid living here, our own Tiny, but the Tinies in like the immediate neighborhood as well. I've been, I've not yet really helped them out, but, you know, I've said, hey, the offer's open. If you guys need help, I can help out, type of thing. So yeah, it's pretty rough. Yeah, I'm definitely doing everything I can to stay safe. Like I said, I literally only go out to get food. That's it. I have not left the house for any other reason, and on top of that, I'm not leaving the house to get a lot of, you know, like not weird food, but special food. You know, I'm not going to restaurants and things like that. The vast majority of the food that I'm getting is, you know, like the necessary stuff, like going and doing the grocery shopping. Not necessarily going out and like, oh yeah, you know, we're going to get special food from wherever tonight. I'm not doing a lot of that. I am doing it a little bit, but that's more just because, I mean, there's only so far you can go with rotisserie chicken and, you know, skillet, tilapia, and rice and beans. Especially when you have a kid in the house, because, you know, kids tend to be relatively finicky and they get bored very easily, especially when it comes to food. So, yeah, it's rough. I absolutely agree with that, Iag. It is really weird to think about, you know, this is a virus that has completely shut down the vast majority of functionality on our planet. And it's just like, you don't expect that to happen. You're like, this shouldn't happen. We're humans. You know, we're supposed to win. Like, we're supposed to be greater than this. But, I mean, it just shows how fragile not only we are, but our society and our economy is, and how quickly it can be ripped from us, essentially. It's kind of a weird philosophical thing. Like, it's just, and on top of that, so I mentioned it in my board game video as well, where by and large, if you are not at risk, you probably will be okay even if you get sick. That is the truth. It really is. But that said, there are plenty of cases of people who are, you know, mid-20s, early 30s, who get sick and die. And they don't have any underlying conditions. They're not sick for any other particular reason. They don't have compromised immune systems. They have access to health care. They just die. And it is horrible. Like, it's really, really bad. And we need to take this seriously. And the problem is, like, I've seen a lot of stuff about, like, spring breakers in Florida. And they're just like, oh, we don't care, you know, we're going to be fine. And it's just going to make this situation even worse now. Like, come on, people. Don't be dumb. But everybody just insists on being dumb about it. So it's all the more frustrating. And now I don't know where I'm supposed to go, and it's driving me insane. Yeah, exactly. I mean, allergies and asthma, even if you have only minor allergies and asthma, it doesn't mean that you're unaffected or whatever. And it's just, yeah, we are in a bad situation, and we need everybody to understand that. So it's, I don't know. Again, I talked a little bit about it in my latest board game video, so if you guys are curious, you can take a look if you want. Essentially, I just reiterated a lot of what the CDC has said about this in terms of precautions to take and, you know, what, if any, worries you should have, all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, just be as safe as you're able to. That's essentially what it comes down to.
I believe this to be the earliest set of sign we've uncovered.
So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to get access to a holocron, which is a special Jedi data archive, which contains information on all of the Padawans, or I guess Force-sensitive children, so potential Padawans. That is what I am trying to do right now. Basically, I have to go to 2 planets to get specific keys, and then head back to a vault where the thing is held. That's essentially what I'm doing. I definitely agree with that, Rev. Like, I am not... See, allergies. I swear. I think. So, what was I thinking? What was I talking about? So we're looking to unlock specific pieces that will enable us to access whatever the weird thing is, this holocron that we need to get to, essentially. Now, unfortunately, I have no health left. I'm very, very low, and I have no stims, so hopefully I'll find a save point soon so that I can restock. One thing about this game that makes it very, very distinct from Dark Souls is that save points are far more frequent compared to Dark Souls. So, just FYI. But yeah, so Rev was talking about the claustrophobia in this game. There is a very interesting thing where you guys saw it earlier, where I was sort of moving around and moving through the little crevasse type of things. And that is something that you see throughout the game that I have noticed. And it is very, very claustrophobia inducing. I am not a person who... son of a... See, I was worried that was going to happen. I am not a person who gets claustrophobic, but man, that space thing is pretty rough. I got a little bit worrisome about it. So, yeah, it's not good. But seriously, though, if anybody's curious, you can check out my recent video where I did board games about viruses of all different sorts. I did do it as kind of a tongue-in-cheek, little joking, little not joking type of shtick. So hopefully you guys would enjoy it. Alright, but everybody close your eyes. It really is kind of freaky. I'm not bothering with that larger outside area. I'm essentially hoping that I'll be able to do the same thing I can usually do, which is defeat the bad guy who killed me, because that will essentially let me get my HP, not HP, but my XP and everything back. So we'll see. Oh, also, I forgot. I have my drink today. So one thing that I know you guys keep bugging me about is stuff to do with the little, like the stream points and things. So now I have my drink, which is totally not anything branded because I ripped the label off. Ah. Delicious. Dun, 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 dun. So you see that big beam of light? That essentially means, hey, your XP is right here. Like I said, you see this in, what's it called? In the Dark Souls. I don't know how I can get past this guy, or if I'm even supposed to. Exactly. Whatever, I was just showing off. I was just flexing on y'all. That's how I roll. I am not a fan of these puffball things. Skungus? Okay, hang on. I need my tactical guide on Shoot, where am I? Skungus. Okay, avoid contact, moving carefully around central pod. Okay. Ah! Wee! Ah, Skungus! Yeah, boy! Pwned. Did you guys see that uber pwnage? It's so super cool. It's uber pwnage. Like, totally. Ow! Ow! And I will announce once again, I am super excited because D&D will be happening. D&D 5th edition. I've got my laptop. I've got some new software that I'm going to be running for it. I've got my accounts all set up on the various platforms I'm planning to use. So whoever's interested, let me know, please, because I really want to get started. It'll be in the next few weeks, essentially. This weekend, I actually have very little work to do, unfortunately. I was hoping that I'd have a little more. But it means that I'm likely going to be focused on getting some stuff done for my campaign. So doing some world building and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a combination rev of homebrew and modules. It's most likely going to be Forgotten Realms, I imagine. But I'm gonna be sticking with the like standard Pantheon and all that kind of stuff. So not doing anything super goofy in terms of like not doing anything super goofy in terms of dealing with the like is magic rare or common or anything along those lines. It's just going to be fairly typical stuff. I do want to avoid having really unusual, like, custom character type of things. But, yeah. I will be doing session 0, so that I'll be able to plan all that stuff out more efficiently. So yeah, if anybody's interested, then please let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna basically be doing a homebrew-ish thing, and then combining it with a bunch of well-known modules, essentially. So a fairly typical type of campaign. Trying to see what's neat to do here. I kind of like the superior blocking. One thing about this game, as you build up, as you get better and better, or as you get into the harder difficulties, that's kind of where you see more similarity to Dark Souls, first off. But secondly, the way that they sort of scale the difficulty is primarily by changing what you are and are not able to parry, and also the timing for the parry as well. So how close you have to be to precise in order to get the parrying done. This is so reminiscent of Breath of the Wild right now. I know exactly what I have to do with these puzzles, but oh shoot, it's a Guardian from Thor. I know exactly what I have to do with these puzzles, but I need to unlock the force push first. So I'm guessing that's sort of what I'm looking at doing right now. Loxodon. A butt guardian? Huh? Loxodon I'm not familiar with. What is that? Interesting, it's immune to force powers. Tomb Guardian. Whatever. An ancient automaton construct. No, dude, that's the homeboy from Thor. Like, 100%. Oh, cool. Hang on. I'm gonna open this up real quick. Oh, dang. That is an ugly looking mofo. I like it. I am a fan of the ugly mofo. It reminds me of me. Run, boy, run! Alright, now I just need to figure out how to get inside the tomb so that I can get my force push power. I guess I can cut these, potentially? Maybe? No. Okay, this is climbable. That's climbable up there as well. I can't reach it. Aww. This is blue instead of red. That means that I should be able to move it. Is it like Breath of the Wild, where it's got to save up the momentum? Oh, here's the thing. Okay, and that starts the wind. Gotcha. Ah, bugger. Okay, see, I knew that I had to do something like this. Seriously, who is getting Breath of the Wild vibes right now? Because I'm getting them, like, hard. And that's a good thing. I love Breath of the Wild. It was a blast. I played that on stream, too. So I guess I gotta go over there and then wall run. Freaking intense, bro. Everybody should love Breath of the Wild. It's a great game. Honestly, I view Breath of the Wild as a masterpiece in the Legend of Zelda series. I truly do. Oh, God, these guys are the worst. Ah, bugger.
No. Tim, down.
That was rough. Has very few original ideas, but copies from the best. And I 100% agree with that, Rev. I absolutely do. Like, if you're gonna steal ideas, or if you're not going to make an original game, then at least steal the good ideas and make sure you implement them well. Because if you do that, then invariably you'll have a pretty solid game. And there is zero wrong with that. That is a good way to go about doing this kind of stuff.
Ugh. This lightsaber can't solve everything.
That was funny. I am a little bit nervous though, because shoot, I can't deal with this guy right now. And I certainly agree in the idea of different for the sake of different, especially. That is the worst reason to be different. Like, if you're making a game and you're just like, hey, I've got this new mechanic that does whatever it does, just for the sake of I have a new mechanic and I'm doing the thing, then no. That is absolutely the worst possible reason to have a new mechanic and do the thing. So, yeah, it's pretty rough. But certainly, I like that this game steals from good stuff and implements them well. Because far too often you'll have games that steal good ideas but then don't implement them in a good way. And so it doesn't make the experience any better. Like, you're not doing anybody any favors by doing that kind of stuff, essentially. I'm really scared of those little dudes coming out. Because I have very little health. And they tend to pop up at the worst possible times. There's like a little force echo thing here, isn't there? See, and that's what I'm thinking too, Rev, is that you really do feel like you're in the Star Wars universe. They do a good job of showing that, which is relatively unusual. I mean, again, we've had good. We've had good Star Wars games. We've had bad Star Wars games. But still.
What stands in the way becomes the way. Now, try again. Use the force to push the ball at the target. Good. Continue. Faster now. Complete the test.
It stands in the way.
Ha!
It's the way.
I knew it.
We did it.
I knew that force push was going to be a thing. I told you guys. Y'all don't listen to me. I don't like the fact that this tomb thing is in the ice. That's kind of scary.
My friend, Take a look at the detail on this bark. The distinctive striations. It can only be a roscia tree from Kashyyyk. It's time to call on an old friend.
So,
If this Zephyr had contact with Kashyyyk, there is a good chance Chieftain Tarful will know about it.
so we're definitely not OP, but I love the fact that we sort of start from a place that is good, essentially. If that makes sense. Ow. So one thing that you see a lot with the good Star Wars games, in particular thinking about like Knights of the Old Republic, so KOTOR, both 1 and 2, is that you tend to start from 0. So you're essentially just sort of sitting here like, oh yeah, you know, whatevs. And then you very, very gradually get force powers, which is okay. But it's kind of nice to have this situation where it's like, you know, you already know what you're doing. You know, you already have some stuff going on. And very, very similar to Spider-Man, the recent PS4 Spider-Man game, where you start off as Spider-Man. Like, he knows what he's doing, he's good at it, and you're jumping around, bashing, smashing, swinging, doing all the things right off the bat. I love that fact about the new Spider-Man game, and this feels very, very similar to that. It's a very similar kind of feeling, and I love it. I love that we've got that. Woo! New skills are available! That said, we do very often see this kind of concept of you are somehow cut off from the Force, and you need to fix it, essentially. So how can we fix it? And so you're able to only gradually use the Force powers. I like that. That's pretty cool. There's some really good stuff here. Dang, I like it. Well, of course. I mean, certainly you need to have, you know, some kind of something or other, right? You need to have something that makes you still work. Because again, you can't start off completely OP and able to do anything and everything. That doesn't make any sense either. What does make sense is starting from the middle. That's totally fine. That is a valid way to begin. It's a valid way to start. And it's something that makes sense. So I think it's cool. I think it's a good way to engineer a game like this. Because you don't feel ridiculously underdone, but at the same time you don't feel overdone either. So it's the best of both worlds. In my opinion. Incidentally, it is just about time for me to go, though. It's one of these things I've mentioned it before, that
Right, we're gonna need more than the wind to move that sphere.
Wait, what? But I already knew that. I've done this before. I don't understand. So yeah, going from mid-ground to high ground is still a good arc that you can have, and it's very viable. So I like it. I do like the physics in this game. I think they did a good job with it. Ay, Dios mío! I remember the physics from, oh man, what was it? Force Unleashed. That was the one where you were able to literally take down an entire Star Destroyer. That was a really amazing sequence. That was probably one of the coolest things that I've ever seen in gaming. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and save here. Because I know that I'm... Oh, shoot. Oh! Well, that was helpful. Random wind. So yeah, I've got to get going. Like I said, I do have some work today, and I do still have to go shopping. So, yay!
This was deliberately destroyed. And still feel the hate of the act.
Rude. Alright, so we'll go ahead and save here. I will, I'll be back for sure on Monday. I mentioned it this past Monday as well, that I'm not 100% sure if I'll be doing extra streams. I might end up doing some more this week. We'll see. Just keep an eye out on Facebook and Twitter from me. I'll announce whether or not I'm doing extra stuff. But regardless, everybody stay safe. Follow whatever folks say in your area, local, national, etc. governments. Because contrary to what you might think, they do have your best interests in mind. But typically that means just sitting in your house for the next few weeks, essentially. So yeah, everybody stay safe. Only go out when you have to. Make sure to wash your hands. And regardless, I will see you on Monday, though. So hopefully we'll see you all then. But take care and have a good weekend.